I've planned dozens of fantasy travel trips, Lord of the Rings tours, Harry Potter adventures, Game of Thrones pilgrimages, and there are 5 things that I wish every client of mine knew before they started booking. These aren't just tips, these are the things that make the difference between a great trip and a disappointing one. Hi, I'm Rocky D'Amico. I'm a certified travel advisor who specializes in fantasy travel. And if you're planning a trip to Middle-earth, Hogwarts, or anywhere in between, you need to know these 5 things. Let's get into it. All right, thing number 1, book your most popular attractions 3 to 6 months in advance, sometimes earlier if you can. I'm talking about things like Hobbiton tours in New Zealand, Warner Bros. Studios tours in London, if you want to go to the filming locations for Game of Thrones in Northern Ireland, popular river cruises, any guided Lord of the Rings tours. These sell out really fast. I cannot tell you how many times I've had clients come to me a month, 2 weeks before their trip saying, hey, can you get us into Hobbiton, or can you get us into the Harry Potter Studios tour with Warner Brothers? And I have to tell them, it's sold out. There's nothing I can do. And that's absolutely heartbreaking because Hobbiton is often the number 1 reason people are visiting New Zealand in the first place. So here's what you do. If you're planning a fantasy trip, book your must-see attraction first, before your flights, before your hotels, before anything else. For example, go to the Hobbiton website or Warner Brothers Studios or whatever, and lock in your tour date and time. Then build the rest of your trip around that. Don't assume you can book it when you get there. Please don't. You can't. Okay, thing number 2, budget 20% more than you think you're going to need. Here's what happens. You plan a $5,000 trip, you book your flights, your hotels, your tours, everything's budgeted perfectly. And then reality hits in. You didn't budget for food and drinks because that's going to add up fast in places like New Zealand and the United Kingdom. Transportation between cities, so your trains, your rental cars, your gas, tips and gratuities, souvenirs. You're going to want that Hobbiton mug souvenir. Spontaneous experiences, like a local guide who's offering a private tour somewhere. Are you going to say no to them? Travel insurance. I always tell my clients, make sure you have a budget for travel insurance. Now, suddenly your $5,000 trip is all of a sudden $6,200. So just plan for it up front. If you think your trip will cost $5,000, budget $6,000. You might not spend it all. Great. You might come home with extra money. But if you do need it, you're not stressed, you're not putting things on credit cards, and you're not skipping experiences because you ran out of money. 20% buffer. Trust me on this. So thing number 3, pick one fandom or one country to do during your trip. All too often I see people trying to go to multiple countries in a very short span of time. And what ends up happening is they miss a lot of some of their favorite things, or it costs an extreme amount of money. So when I tell people, if you're a big Game of Thrones fan and you want to go, pick either Northern Ireland or go to Croatia, or maybe just go to Iceland. Same thing with Harry Potter. You can do both the UK with England and Scotland, so go up from London up to Scotland. That's perfectly easy. Or if you're going to New Zealand, make sure you budget the right amount of time to go visit both the North and the South Island so you can see all that. Don't expect to go to New Zealand for 7 days and see both the North and the South Island. Do it right, see everything for that one fandom or that one country, and immerse yourself in it fully. And then plan a second trip for the next fandom or the next country that you want to go see. All right, thing number 4, and probably one of the most underrated ones on this list. Visit in shoulder season if you can. Shoulder season means the month just before or just after peak tourist season. For New Zealand, Lord of the Rings, you might want to go peak season is going to be December to February. Shoulder season is going to be October to November or March to April. For the United Kingdom with Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, your peak season is going to be June to August, and so your shoulder season is going to be April through May or September through October. Here's why shoulder season is amazing. Cheaper flights, sometimes 30 to 40% less. Cheaper hotels, so you got a lot more major savings. A lot of times you beat those school age kids going out on tours, so you get more availability, less crowds. You still have good weather. It's not as perfect as peak, but it's going to be totally fine. Now, there is a trade-off. If you go to Hobbiton in winter, which is going to be June or August, it won't be as green and as lush. It's going to be a lot more browner. Or if you go to Scotland in April, it might rain more. But for most people, the savings, the smaller crowds, and the easier planning are worth the slightly less perfect weather. Just don't go in the dead of winter expecting summer conditions. And honestly, one of my favorite things about visiting New Zealand in, shoulder season, especially when I went in November, is you're coming out of winter and you have the snow-capped mountains surrounding Queenstown, so you're getting that really beautiful feel like you're in the Lord of the Rings movie sets. All right, thing number 5, and this is a big one. Be honest with yourself about whether you should DIY it or hire help. Because here's the truth. Some people love planning trips. I love it. I get it. And they have the time, they enjoy the research, and they're good at logistics. If that's you, plan it yourself. You'll save money and you'll have fun doing it. But if you don't have 20 to 30 hours to research and plan, or if you get overwhelmed by too many options, or are planning a complex multi-destination trip, if you want to make sure you don't miss anything, if this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip and you can't afford mistakes, then you might want to hire a travel advisor. Hire me, hire someone else. I don't care. Just make sure you get some help with your trip. Because here's what I see all the time. People spend weeks trying to plan their trips themselves. They get stressed. They second guess everything. They're not sure if they're doing it right. And then they hire me 3 weeks before their trip when half the stuff is already sold out and I'm trying to salvage whatever I can. Don't do that. Either commit to DIY and do it well, or hire help from the beginning. Just don't do this weird hybrid middle thing where you're halfway planning and then halfway hoping someone will rescue you. Be honest with yourself, make a decision, move forward. All right, quick recap of the 5 things. 1, book popular attractions 3 to 6 months in advance. 2, budget 20% more than you think you're going to spend. 3, pick one country or one fandom per trip. 4, visit in the shoulder season when possible. And 5, be honest about DIYing the trip versus hiring help. If you follow these 5 rules, you'll have an infinitely better fantasy travel experience. If you need help planning your Lord of the Rings tour, your Harry Potter adventure, or any fantasy trip, please book a free consultation with me. The link is in the description. Also, you're more than welcome to download my free Lord of the Rings New Zealand travel guide while you're there. And also subscribe for more fantasy travel tips. I'm Rocky D'Amico from Flights and Fables. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.